We're joined now by Dr. Yemi, who is an associate professor of energy and electricity law, University of Lagos. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Well, there will always be complaints on the part of consumers in terms of what they're facing, and then the NERC will always speak as much as they can, hoping that that will suffice on the part of consumers, but it keeps going back and forth as a cycle. From your perspective, from what you've seen, do you think NERC, first and foremost, is living up to their billing?
Thank you very much. I am really not a fan of the NERC as presently constituted. It's unfortunate that a country that is really in dire need of electricity for growth is not even having the governance aspect of it properly structured. We need to realize that the only function, the only job of the government in the current dispensation is regulation. And regulation in a private sector is something that should be knowledge-based governance or sector regulation. That's one. Two, close to a year now, we have no regulators in the strict sense of it. A country in a hurry, a serious country, will not allow a sector that is bedeviled with all kinds of crisis and confusion is now being run in acting capacity.
Does that in any way lower the standards?
It does, extensively. It does, because the bureaucracy will always be the bureaucracy all over.
So how does that change if you have a substantive head?
If you have a substantive head, the presumption is that these are core sector guys, these are core professionals. I saw the list, I'm impressed if they are able to come at the end of the day. I know virtually all of them, these are sound guys in the sector. A professor in Unilag, a professor in MIT. We know that these are people of reputation out there in the sector who are not going to be bugged by this needless bureaucracy. That's one. Secondly, I don't think NERC is doing the right thing. I will always insist, and I'm saying now, that NERC, as presently constituted, is unconstitutional. You can't have a regulator that regulates both on-grid generation and off-grid generation, contrary to what the Constitution says, because NERC should and cannot regulate off-grid generation. And I ran through the licenses given by NERC. Go there, check their website, you see on-grid license, off-grid license, and I said, you cannot license off-grid power generation.
Who does that? Who should?
That should be the state. That's why some discos and gencos are having problems. I have said, I don't think we're ready yet, and it's unfortunate.
Are you sure that's why they're having problems? Because I don't see how that relates to problems that people are going through now. That's why they're having problems.
I'm going to get there. I'll give you a few facts. One, Nigerians should be ready for, we normally call it White Christmas in Canada, but Nigerians should be ready for maybe Black Christmas. I went to a disco, I'm not going to mention name. The disco, for a meeting, the disco regrettably was running on generator. A disco was running on generator.
And they were maintaining something somewhere?
So if the disco has no power to run itself, how does it give you power? That's on the side.
Wow.
The issue is this. Let these discos be cross-licensed for off-grid power generation in the state. Let it not be at the current tariff structure. Once it generates, it's a question of market demand and supply, and certain economic consideration. If I am generating a certain amount of money off-grid for Ogun State government now, which is Governor Amos who is thinking of and should really do, it can, all this Mowe Bafo, all this Agbara, we can have off-grid generation for them.
Isn't there a limit to which you can generate?
There should be no limit, because it's a question of it's a question of demand in that area.
Yeah, but at the moment there is a limit.
At the moment there's a problem because NERC is regulating everybody that generates above 1 megawatts. And I said, that's too small. NERC should free itself off to regulate those who generate above 5 megawatts and free off completely for those who generate off-grid, so that we have diversified energy options. And again, the state government are able to do a lot more. If, for instance, Ikeja Disco cross-license in Ogun State to generate off-grid 5 megawatt, 2 megawatts here, and that's going to increase the level of generation. And they will also maintain their grid-based generation in certain instances. What we have now is a situation in which the NERC is putting needless pressures on the discos, and they make it appear as if the problem is only that of the disco.
If I understand what you're saying, are you saying that there should be NERC should hands off 5 megawatts on grid and off grid?
Then this is my proposal. One, the law is upside down. We've said that a whole lot of errors in the law, so the foundation is faulty. 200 documented errors, including the unconstitutionality of the Electric Power Sector Reforms Act itself, that says something that is directly on the opposing side, contradictory to the Constitution. That one is there. Nobody has challenged it. It's there. It's settled. It's rested. That's one. So we can't start to build something on nothing. The foundation is defective. That's one. Secondly, NERC in a country that is serious, a country in a hurry for development, should not be regulating 1 megawatts. I call it the sector is over-regulated. Needless regulations that ought to have been harmonized into 1 or 2 bundles of regulation that will make the sector to run smoothly. The regulation on going, regulation on coming, regulation on military, regulation on every kind of thing. The sector is over-regulated and nothing is happening. That's one. My proposal is this. NERC should be concerned with serious mega generation. 5 megawatts at the minimum. That means you're a serious player. If you are not generating up to 1 megawatt, 5 megawatts, then back down, go through the state, and off-grid generation should be completely off the confines of the NERC, in line with what the Constitution says.
But at the moment, have we seen any states that have demonstrated the capacity to generate up to 5 megawatts?
A lot of the states.
Are they doing that right now? Have they?
Lagos State government is generating 35 megawatts, which commendably the former governor Raji Fashola started, and I've said it here several times. They generate during the day. Those are the problems. They generate like 35 megawatts during the day. Their capacity utilization is about 80 megawatts for the Secretariat, Alasa, and the rest, and they have excess megawatts, which they can't give or transfer to off-takers, industries, businesses nearby. In the night, in the evening, the entire 35 to 38 megawatts is idle, and there are industries that need it, they can't give to them because Ikeja Disco is in court, perhaps saying, oh, Lagos State government, they can't give them power because they are my customers. What does it matter? You have customers that cannot be supplied electricity. Yeah, Lagos State government say, hey, I have excess, let me give it to them, and the government spent a lot of money. They are going to agree a different tariff structure to be able to recoup their money.
Does that underscore the point that some people made, saying that they think we have regional monopolies in the discos?
I totally agree with regional monopolies. You see, the discos are also having a lot of problems that Nigerians are not being made to be aware of. One, I'm aware most of them, if not all of them, borrowed money in dollars. This is called dollarized lending. Unfortunately, you borrow dollars at 100 and something rate, and your business is going to generate naira. Now they are under extreme pressure to look for money desperately. That is why some Nigerians will have noticed a situation in which some areas are just snapped off the grid, and the supply areas where the big guys have, where they can build and get payment because they really need money.
So you may be in an area where you're snapped off, whether you pay or you don't, they lump you together.
You snap off because you don't pay millions, and these guys need a lot of money. If you are fortunate to be in that area, you are snapped off. Then they concentrate power, the little power they have, the few megahertz they have, they concentrate in areas where they get ready billings and payment. Because they are hugely exposed.
Sorry to cut you there, because you just talked about Ikeja Disco being in court, and I think a few other discos are also in court, which some would say is one of the reasons we're having the issue. The good thing here is that we've just realized that even though we're in the dry season, generation has truly been tremendous, and it has really increased, but it amounts to nothing if we have the lackadaisical attitude of some of the discos. But Going back to what is happening about what you have termed as something unconstitutional about the NERC. You're a lawyer and an energy expert in that field, and you know, we talk about the ivory towers. Sometimes when people come up with their research, you ask yourself, does it just end up in the schools? What do you do with such publications? Have you tried? Because you've used the word proposal for more than 3 times. So you say your proposal is, if you have a proposal and you say you have a proposal that will see that this is better streamlined to the extent that NERC will take charge of maybe the on-grid, and maybe another regulator takes charge of the off-grid. Have you been able to bring this before the Power Ministry and say, this is my blueprint, here it is, and see if anyone is going to take a look at that?
Let me tell you this, Suleiman, and for Nigerians listening, even I was surprised when somebody who never knew had met the SAN, Bayo Job, was telling the professor that, hey, there's this new guy that will listen. I did listen, I've heard that several times. That was his son, Elias, that bought my books, giving it to these regulators and others. People have done what they ought to do to show we are all in this together. On several occasions, have been at conferences, seminars, training, telling them that, hey, I have documented over 200 errors in these laws that will not make it to get anywhere. I was happy when the minister recently, some few months ago, said they were going to embark on concession grid. We should have had it. We can't have a federated grid in the 21st century. It's not going to work.